Hey everyone, it's Natalie Bensavanga, and welcome to another edition of Facts Over Fear. Oh my gosh, so many people just hopped on all at once. I'm so happy to see everybody. This is fantastic.
That was wild. I saw them just all
I
come over on the
know.
thing. That's fun.
So I'm really looking forward to today's show because if you guys like this, we're thinking of doing this pretty regularly. So think of it this way: two girls, one news cycle from hell. Oh, the horrors we can uncover.
A lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, and I'm so excited to have you here. This is my friend Jess Britvich. And Jess, this is exciting because we just met recently, but we just kind of vibed.
Yes, and it's fantastic because we're both local to each other. So
I know.
I mean, that's kind of rare in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
A smaller city, things like that. So it's been fantastic.
Yes. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you today on everything we've got cooking. But I just want to give everybody a little bit of background in case you don't know Jess yet. She is a former social worker, much like myself. So we must have started some kind of refugee program for former social workers now turned content creators / journalists, right? And you actually cover the intersection of internet culture, trends, and politics. Her work has been featured in publications like Teen Vogue, Huffington Post, and BuzzFeed. You also hold undergraduate degrees in journalism and political science from Rutgers University and a master's in social work from Fordham University. And like you said, you're in Pittsburgh with your hubby and your two cats.
Our two adorable cats, yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So a lot of Jess's work that I've seen, at least online, is you really got your start doing Get Ready With Me, but you weren't just talking about makeup. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, when I was in social work, I started just a TikTok for fun where I was doing more of the traditional get ready with me's, but I had no background in makeup or anything like that. I was doing it just as a creative outlet from, I'm sure you can understand, the emotional labor of social work. But then once I left the field, I got another job doing just kind of like an office job. I was like, well, where am I going to put this energy of all of these things that I'm so passionate about that I was used to talking about, advocating for, and really working within while I was in social work. And I was kind of over, this was around the last election. I was kind of over just like the makeup stuff. It felt like overconsumption, things like that. As much as I love beauty products and being a consumer of them myself. But that's when I started incorporating more of these kind of breakdowns, rants just about how I've been feeling about things and kind of breaking down from a social work lens these different systems and news cycles and things like that we're seeing while doing the makeup, which I think does add a bit of a visual element. And I hope that it welcomes people to my content who might not otherwise engage with more overtly political content, So, and it really took off and it's been great. So I've just been leaning into it since then and it's been really fun.
Well, I absolutely, hello. I absolutely love your content. And I thought it would be a fun game to kick things off since we're segueing into the news cycle. Let's talk makeup or breakup.
I love it.
I love systems. Okay. So makeup or breakup. We're going to talk a little bit about medical debt first. James Van Der Beek has, of course, been all over the news cycle. His family is receiving support through a GoFundMe after the actor's death left them in financial turmoil. The Dawson's Creek star just died on Wednesday at only the age of 48 after a 2-year battle with stage 3 colorectal cancer. He is survived by his wife, Kimberly, and their 6 children. Jess, makeup or breakup with our healthcare system?
Clearly breakup.
Hello.
And anyone who has any experience ever going to the doctor or anything, or, having any type of ailment pop up out of the blue, I think can confidently say breakup. And my question is, where is the Make America Healthy Again people now? Why are they only focusing on things that are individual choices that individuals can make and not looking at the system of our healthcare? If you really want to make America healthy again, we need to be focusing on universal healthcare, but that's never coming out of the mouth of the Make America Healthy Again movement. It's one of the biggest critiques I have of them.
And I got to tragic. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no. And I got to tell you, because you are totally in my brain as well about this. What I find really annoying is it always goes back to your point, the individual, right? Yeah. Which is very much, shocker, capitalistic mindset, right? Yes. So when you think of how we could move forward, I mean, look at this number. Fans and Friends have so far raised almost $1.5 million in just 7 hours. Can you imagine if we were all just paying a little part of our taxes to just healthcare?
Exactly. And That's the thing that's so frustrating, is that these Make America Healthy Again movements and things like that will say, well, you're just not taking the right supplements. You're not eating clean. You're not doing the beef tallow or whatever, or you got the jab or anything like that. But the thing is, they say they're against big pharma. And yes, of course, we have critiques about big pharma. It's a system in itself. Every system we can critique. But big wellness is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And all of these unregulated supplements, all of these unregulated claims are just being sold by grifters who are making a large sum of money off of your own concerns. And could you imagine if we funneled that money back into a system that could really work for the people?
No, I couldn't agree more. And we'll wrap this point up here in a moment. But I just wanted to add, when we're talking about money and systems, ICE, hello, we have given them so much money this year, Jess. If we took that money and redirected it towards our healthcare, maybe situations like this where someone passes and you're grappling at straws just to keep your lights on wouldn't be happening.
And can I say one more thing about GoFundMe as well, too? I mean, thank God we have GoFundMe, I guess. But at the same time, the way that we discuss GoFundMe or these stories around GoFundMe, I see them all the time. They're framed as a heartwarming story. It's like, oh, this teacher, whatever, was found out they had cancer and the community rallied around and raised money so that they didn't have to sell their house or something like that. And it's framed as a feel-good story. There is nothing feel-good about this. GoFundMe is not health insurance, and it shouldn't be. And I think that whenever we lean into like the feel-good aspects of those stories, it's overlooking the rage that we should be feeling at being in this position in the first place.
Amen to that. If you're just joining me, I'm Natalie Bencavanga. I'm here with Jess Britvich. She is a social worker turned content creator that has blown up online over her Get Ready With Me. But really, we're talking about politics while we're getting ready, which is what I love. And so we're playing a little game, everybody, called Makeup or Breakup. So let's move on to part 2, the SAVE Act. The House passed the SAVE Act again on Wednesday. This is a bill that would tighten voting rules by requiring proof of citizenship at a registration and sharply limit mail-in voting. The vote was 218 to 213. They say this is going to have a tough fight ahead in the Senate. I don't even think that it matters if it passes in the Senate or not. It's the fact that the audacity that it passed in the House. So when we're looking at the SAVE Act, is it a makeup or a breakup?
I dare you to find something I'm going to make up with, because we are breaking up with this SAVE Act. And one thing before we fearmonger too much, I know stranger things have happened, but it does not look like this is going to pass in the Senate. So everybody take a deep breath. However, the fact that this is a goal that certain politicians have is something that needs to be ringing alarm bells, because just because it might not pass now, they're not going to let this go, So break up with the SAVE Act. First of all, don't fall for the propaganda. Just the naming of it, these names of these bills are so gimmicky and such blatant propaganda. It's being called the Save America Act. It's the Safeguard American Voters Act. And the average person who's not clued into what is actually going on here, that phrasing, who doesn't want to save the American voters,
Thank you. Just like who doesn't want to make America great again, right?
Exactly. But it's all propaganda. And it's to elicit this emotional reaction and to make you almost feel like it's common sense while hiding a lot more nefarious causes behind it. It's voter suppression at the end of the day, and it's going to affect the most marginalized. It's going to affect those who are low income, because some people may have to go and get their documents and pay money to get documents, an extra added step, an added barrier to be able to go and vote. And it's also going to affect a lot of women or a lot of trans individuals who have changed their name, who maybe their birth certificate doesn't match their new name, and then having to go through all the hoops to try to amend that. So it's just blatant voter suppression, and that's really where the conversation needs to be had.
Absolutely. And I just want to add this too, okay? Because every time I talk about the SAVE Act or something like it, I get people in my DMs, people in my comments telling me, well, voter fraud is out of control. And that's the voice I hear. But actually, if you actually look at some statistics, and they looked at, Heritage looked at 7 closely contested states, and this was through Brookings EDU. This is over 25 years, 36 elections with more than 42 billion with a B, ballots cast. There were 36 cases of fraud, like in 42 billion ballots. So we know that this is just this is not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a thing. And to your point, it's a propaganda machine to reduce people and their opportunities to engage with our civic system.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for bringing up that point, because at the end of the day, what I love so much about what you do, Natalie, is the facts over fear. And those are the facts.
Yes.
There is not an issue of widespread voter fraud in this country. And that is just the facts. So don't let them scare you into it by giving up your own rights because it's a made up thing.
I have to say, I'm loving this game. I'm loving the intensity of it. I'm loving the urgency that we've created for no reason, but it's there. It's there. If you're just joining us, everyone, I'm sweating. And my name's Natalie Bensavenga. I'm with Jess Britvich. She is a former social worker and now an incredible content creator that focuses on intersections between internet culture, trends, and politics. She does Get Ready With Me style videos. So we're playing a little makeup or breakup game. Okay, on to the third. Berks County ICE facility. This one, I thought we'd bring it back to Pennsylvania since we both have roots here. Governor Josh Shapiro, he is the governor here in Pennsylvania, said that Tuesday, massive new immigration detention facilities planned by the federal government do not belong in Pennsylvania. Representative Dan Muser's office, he's a Republican in the 9th District, told county officials that the facility could potentially hold up to 7,500 people, raising additional questions, commissioners said, because the warehouse's public water and sewer hookups were built for a couple of hundred people on a shift, not thousands being confined for weeks, months, or God only knows how long at a time. I think I know what the answer to this one is, but should we make up or break up with ICE detention centers?
Oh, we're breaking up with ICE detention centers. We're breaking up with ICE in general, the whole entire operation, obviously. And I'm very thankful for Josh Shapiro for making a very clear stance. I'm so over any politician that is afraid to come out and take a bold stance against ICE. And I really appreciate that he says, this is not for our communities. My question, and I'm not totally sure because I've heard kind of different things, and this isn't my area of expertise. Do you know, Natalie, how much pull the governor actually has in keeping a federal level project out of our state? Do you know the answer to that?
It's a good question. I'm not going to act as if I do, but I did interview the sheriff of Bucks County recently, and then I interviewed the county commissioner, the county controller in another county here in Pennsylvania, in Lehigh County, and we were talking about how they can rent or buy from private landowners. And when they do that, that money is then usurped out of the tax base. So whenever a detention center comes into a community, that tax revenue is then taken out because obviously the government doesn't pay taxes. So what's been happening, just to your point, it's like a two-pronged problem. We're dealing with the human rights and the civil rights violations of these existing, but then we're also dealing with economics, a revenue issue. Yeah. And actually in Lehigh County, they're trying to kick ICE out because they haven't paid that bill in 2 years, 3 years, and it's like $150K they owe or $140,000.
And that might be where the messaging is to kind of reach across the aisle a little bit. And that's so much of just the Trump administration in general that ran on kind of like this proposed idea of economics, and Trump's going to be better for the economy. And that just continues to be a lie in every area that we're looking at. So I think continuing to reach, it shouldn't have to take just that to be able to, say that this is a human rights violation. But you know what? If it moves the needle, it moves the needle. And I think we need to make it clear the scope of how detrimental ICE is to our communities on so many different levels.
Amen. And I think it's important that our governor is being hostile towards this entity because we do need pushback on a very public and a very prominent level. So to your point, and we can definitely look into this. I'm happy to do it before I do this recap to see if it is true, because it's a good question. But how much direct input, I'm not sure Shapiro has, but I do know the fact that he is taking such a public stance on this is important in swaying public opinion, which already we know people don't want ICE around.
Absolutely.
Like they just don't.
Yeah.
Period. Okay. So that was a fun game, everyone. I enjoyed it. Jess, how did you feel?
I loved it. It let me, it was cathartic. Let me get out some of my feelings. Yeah.
We're warmed up, everybody. We're warmed up. So we're going to talk a little bit now about selective outrage. Okay. Everybody and their mother seemed to have watched the halftime show at the Super Bowl this weekend. Bad Bunny was amazing. I heard there was like this other little show happening, but I don't know. I don't think that many people tuned in. But I wanted to ask you this question, Jess, and get your thoughts on this, because I love your work, how, once again, you are really good with connecting dots. Why was there more outrage this week following the halftime show surrounding the idea of decency when we have millions of files with Trump's name on them? There's actually 1 million plus times, apparently, his name has shown up, according to Representative Raskin, in the unredacted files. So we're talking all of these things, right? Pedophilia, human trafficking, torture, rape, even cannibalism. Crickets.
Disgusting.
Crickets. But they're literally talking about Bad Bunny to be investigated for decency. Girl.
Let me take a breath.
I know.
So I have 2 points.
Take it in.
I have 2 points I want to talk about. The first one, I'm going to say just the wording in general, decency, is such a racially coded term. The fact that we are labeling the Latin community as indecent, or like, it's so often this is a phrase that's going to be spewed at people of color, of being indecent, of young Black girls being too grown, of, whatever it is. We hear it time and time again, different kind of framings, but just the same idea overall. And it's a tool of white supremacy, and it's a dog whistle at the end of the day. So that's something I just want us to all kind of be clear about, as well as this idea of decency is very just white supremacist in nature. But the second thing, and this is almost an affirmation that I have to repeat to myself time and time again, because I get so worked up whenever I view this hypocrisy. But the hypocrisy is the point at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I want to get in battles in my comments, with individuals or go on the comments of Pam Bondi or whoever else is accounts, at the end of the day, they know what they're doing. The hypocrisy is the point. Because if they can get their base to accept these ideas that are so clearly misaligned, then they are able to continue to consolidate power, and they can continue to say whatever it is that they want, and their base won't question them. It gets it gets their base to no longer worry about policy, to no longer worry about issues that are happening, because they are so married to this identity of this person. And it's authoritarian regimes have relied on this in history. It's the hypocrisy is the point. And so that's something that I always have to remind myself, so that I don't just boil over. This is part of the strategy. This is part of the plan. Some of it is distraction, and some of it is just to continue to indoctrinate this base. And that's why Trump says he could go in the middle of Fifth Ave and shoot someone and he would still have supporters, because they've accepted that hypocrisy little by little, until we're at the point now where we're making excuses for pedophilia. It's crazy.
It's actually insane to me, to piggyback off of what you're saying, that they were serious at a legislative level to bring some kind of formal charge or formal thing against Bad Bunny's show, which, by the way, was beautiful and loving and literally made me cry, because it was just a little piece of sunshine in another difficult time in our history.
And regardless of the message, which was fantastic, and there was so much culture in it, and it was wonderful, besides that, it was entertaining. Crazy to not just on a very surface value be like, that was a good show.
And like Pedro was there. Pedro Pascal. I mean, just him alone. When I saw, I was like, oh. And then elder millennial, I see Ricky Martin. I lose it. My mother and I were screaming. It was just fun. It was just fun, So I think we needed that, and we deserved it. And it doesn't surprise me how they responded, of course, in reaction to it. If you're just joining us, I'm Natalie Bencavanga. I'm with Jess Britvich. If you guys can, please go above here where you see our name scrolling, and make sure to subscribe to our Substacks, because 2 girls, 1 news cycle from hell. We're going to be doing this more. So buckle in, everybody. Okay, last topic of the day. I wanted to turn our attention back to the Epstein files, but perhaps in a little bit of a different way than I think some people are examining it, because I wanted to pull in what's going on with the files and the medical community. This has kind of been something that I feel like is being reported on, but also being glossed over. The medical community faced backlash on several fronts this week, and I do want to talk about how all these things tie together. As it relates, however, to the OBGYN that happened to be on Epstein's payroll. So to me, that was kind of a wild story, that we had a gynecologist, an obstetrician who has a very prominent role in the medical community, not just where he's based in Ohio, but actually nationally. And he, I believe, was on a retainer for about $75,000 a year. And then we had longevity expert Dr. Peta Attia, who has stepped down. He's a very prominent wellness person as chief science officer of protein bar company David Protein, after his dealings with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein came to light. There is just so much here to unpack. I want to just start with those two connections, however. When you're hearing about these stories and you're hearing about the framework of medical community, and then you're hearing about these prominent men in positions of power in this community and their ties to Epstein, did it surprise you, first of all?
Gosh, isn't that the $1,000,000 question? It's like yes and no. The
Mm-hmm.
scale of these crimes and the details that continue to come out because I'm a human being continue
Yeah.
to surprise me because I just can't wrap my mind around this level of depravity, especially with here's what I keep coming back to, and I don't know. We all know that rich, powerful men abuse women. Like, that's
Yeah.
not shocking. Like, that's, you know, it's just, as a woman, I'm not surprised at that. But these are children we're talking about. And that's what I really just continue to struggle wrapping my brain around. So, but then to add the added layer of these are supposed to be trusted professionals who many of them, I'm sure as a doctor, take an oath, take an oath
Yeah.
to protect. And I think it's just continues to shine a spotlight on the power and the responsibility of individuals in these different roles. And I felt that way even as a social worker, and just understanding like social work is an extension of policing, and just like, all of the different issues within the medical community as well. It's like with all of that power, a lot of harm can be done. And that's really scary, I think. And it definitely, I don't even have the words, I really don't,
Yeah.
because it's just beyond.
I think that's absolutely fair and true. And I also want to add too, and I was looking up some stuff while you're talking because you got me thinking, when we look at the history of this country and we look at the history of gynecology and how it's rooted in
Yeah.
slavery, right? The enslavement of Black women, experimentations on their bodies without any anesthesia, without any consent or agency. I remember the first time I read and heard some of those stories, I think it was on NPR. Thank God for public broadcasting, as always. I sat and cried because I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. And now you see the legacy of, systemic racism in our medical communities. And in Pennsylvania, we have one of the worst maternal health outcomes for Black women,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you see all of this, Jess. And then, of course, it was a male
Right.
gynecologist
Right.
that was, abusing his privilege of being a pillar in the community
Mm-hmm.
in this way and creating such harm. And I actually interviewed one of the attorneys for the Epstein survivors last night. His name was Eric Fidali. And we were discussing the incredible complex nature of how many powerful people are in these
Yes.
pages, and what it means that we've even had this level of disclosure. Because I asked him, I said, are you surprised at all? And he said, in all honesty, yes. And I think that really says something coming from someone who has been pursuing this for 20 years, basically, 10, 20 years, that he's still like, wow, there's been some accountability. I mean, I think that just shows you the level of power that you and I just can't comprehend, because I just don't care that much.
It's just bizarre.
You know what I mean? Do you care that much about controlling people?
Oh my God. And that's what I mean. And that's insane. I talked to someone else about this and I said the same thing. Like, how is there this many people who are willing to abuse children? Not even willing to abuse children, but find some personal gain in it. And they said, it's, well, whenever you reach that level of power, children are the ultimate thing that you can exert over. And I just can't. I don't know. I struggle with. I'm selective with what I consume around the Epstein files, just because it's so. Like I said, there's no words really, but I think what you said, and you made a fantastic point, and I think this is why we connect so much. on our kind of areas that we like to focus on is that gynecology, or like I said about social work, all these different things are systems. It's not the individual. Well, of course, we all hold individual, power and decisions that we make, but it's so much larger than that. It's the system that allowed this to take place in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of where our conversations are going to continue to lead, is just how did we get here? It's not about individual actions. It's about these collective systems of capitalism, white supremacy, misogyny, just all of these different things, and how much they're threaded throughout the fabric of America that have allowed to the atrocities that we're seeing today. And I think until we all really kind of understand and grasp that, we're going to continue to see things like this happening. And so hopefully this is a reckoning for a lot of people. And, it's hard to have these conversations, but they're so necessary.
Amen to that. Everybody, I've had such a great time chatting with Jess Britvich, and it seems like all of you have too, because everybody stuck around and we grew as we went along, which is so cool.
Really cool to see.
I know. So
appreciate it.
This is so exciting. I want to end on a positive note so we can both, walk away from this conversation feeling hopeful, because I do think even in all of these moments of challenge, we are not the first generation to go through serious upheaval. And I think we can come out stronger and more unified than ever. What would, on the other side of this, pick 3 things that you would love to see happen at the national level in terms of policy change? What are the 3 issues for you that the Dems or the opposition party at this point have to get behind in order for them to secure your vote in the next election?
Oh boy, that's tough. That's tough. And I might have to, my off the cuff answer might be a little bit different than if I actually sit and mull with it. Do you have an answer?
I just thought of it now, and I thought, so of the question, so how about we ping? Okay. For me, universal health care. We have to have universal. Okay, you go ahead.
I want politicians to strongly say they want to abolish ICE. And I'm not saying that we'll see whenever, I don't know. I'm not going to make any claims about the presidential or whatever, but for the midterms, I'm really looking for that.
Okay. Universal health care, abolish ICE, Citizens United. We got to overturn it.
Yeah. That's a great one.
It's created so many problems that we're now dealing with these super PACs and all that. Okay, go ahead. Another idea.
Like I said, if I sit and think, I'm not saying these are like the absolute things that I think are the.
You're not under oath. Don't worry.
But I really need to see some student loan forgiveness. I really need to see some student loan forgiveness.
I like that one. Okay, we got healthcare for all. Overturning the Citizens United. We got abolish ICE, student loan forgiveness. I said we got to have paid leave for all.
Yeah.
Like actual paid leave for all, because it's literally killing our economies and our lives. So, okay, that's 5. Give me one more.
Do I have one more? Do I have? We need to do something to, we need to do something to address the white supremacist nature of this country. And
that's easy. That's an easy one.
But I mean, I'm a fan of reparation. I think we need to be paying reparations.
Hell, they're the only group of people that haven't received some kind of reparations are Black Americans.
Yes.
That's appalling.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, I'll sit and think more, but off the cuff of my head, these are the issues that bother me. And I want to see politicians starting to talk about.
Amen. And doing actual meaningful change. I'm tired of kicking these cans further down the road, because we're literally not even at the cliff. We're over the cliff and we're just hanging on to the side. Right. And it's our pinkies at this point.
Right. I know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
It is.
And Karen also asked, what about Native Americans as well? I think there have been some attempts, Karen, with different things over the years around some kinds of reparations. Actually, let me look that up.
Good question.
Native Americans reparations. See, in another world, we have somebody doing this with us. Okay, it says Native American reparations involve efforts to address historical injustices, often handled through the Indian Claims Commission Act of 1946. $1.3 billion was paid to 176 tribes for lost land, but it amounted to less than $1,000 per person. So there's a little bit of that. And there's
Yeah,
been
like,
another thing since that in the 90s that also has tried to facilitate the return of ancestral remains. So I'm not saying these reparations were good. I'm just saying at least it was addressed, whereas like there has never been an attempt, as far as I know, for reparations for Black Americans.
And in general, I mean, it really goes hand in hand. Like the white supremacist nature of this country extends to obviously the Native people as well, too. So,
God,
I mean,
yes.
continuing to see land back initiatives and things like that, I think are so important as well.
100%. I think when we're talking about white supremacy, it's like you said, it's an overarching
Yes.
conversation that deals with really any non-white group here in the United States and what has been perpetuated upon them because of these systems of injustice. Jess Britvich, if people want to follow you and learn more about your incredible work, where can they go?
Yes, so you can find me here on Substack at Jess Britvich. My main platform is at Jess Britvich on Instagram, and then I'm on TikTok as well. I don't nurture it as much over there because of it's starting to become X 2.0, but you know I'm over there as well. So would love to continue the conversations in the DMs or in the comments or wherever.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to both of us above, and as always, please take care of yourselves and each other. Have a great night. Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.